What's up, guys? Steve from Outsider Garage again. Nozilla. Figured I would do a quick video tonight. Um, Maybe looking at some of the drive-by-wire parts that we just released this past week. Um, as you guys know, we've been working on drive-by-wire conversions for the R Chassis for some time now, and we were able to finally release our not our final kit, but a complete version of our kit. We still have some more things in the works. Our IACV, full lineup of IACV block off plates will be added to the site most likely tomorrow or by the end of this week. That's going to be your RB20, 26, 25 non-Neo, and 25 Neo IACV block offs. Those will all come with, stainless hardware. And then the next step for us is to start working on some complete plug-and-play wiring harnesses. So Brandon and I have been brainstorming and coming up with some interesting ideas that we're going to try to implement. But the ultimate goal is to have a kit that has every single thing that you could possibly need and will be literally plug and play into an R chassis. Everything, obviously, on the engine bay side fits whatever RB and whatever engine. Our pedals are designed specifically for the R32, and they've also been test fitted in the R33. We don't have an R34 test rig. I would go on a limb to assume that they will most likely fit as well, but I'm not going to go on the record with that until we're totally test fitted. That being said, though, the firewall mount for the pedals is pretty much the same for most early Nissans, and all the way up to obviously the 350Z, which came quite a ways down the road. So we machined a billet pedal bracket that allows you to basically take a left-hand drive 350Z pedal, and it repositions the pedal so that it fits properly in a right-hand drive Nissan, and specifically the R32 and R33. Now, you can just go out and buy a pedal and you can just bend the hell out of it, but we wanted to have a solution that was a little bit nicer than that. It didn't require like the mangling of a brand new product. And all the pedals that we supply in our kits are all brand new OEM Nissan parts, and the same with the Bosch throttle bodies are all brand new OEM Bosch throttles. So let me quickly turn the camera around, and I'll just kind of walk you through what we got, and kind of maybe we can talk about drive-by-wire for a little bit and what the advantages are. It was kind of interesting. I had our freight pickup guy stop in today, and I got to talking to him for a little bit about drive-by-wire, and he is a V8 muscle car guy, and he has drive-by-wire in some of his dailies and his work trucks and stuff, and he hates it, and he has a pretty distinct impression about drive-by-wire being kind of slow and laggy. And if you don't know any better, that's what everybody thinks. And honestly, that was my impression years ago as well. But that's just not the case, guys. Drive-by-wire in OEM applications certainly has disadvantages, and those disadvantages aren't with the drive-by-wire systems. They're with the OEM ECUs, which are limiting and controlling all of your actions and trying to get the car to do exactly what the manufacturer wants it to do to meet emissions and safety requirements and everything. So when you take something like this, these drive-by-wire throttles, and you hook them up to something like a Haltech Elite 2500 or a Link ECU or an EMU Masters Black Edition or any other high quality aftermarket ECU that can control drive-by-wire, you will have a very good, superior even throttle response, which is also completely tunable and you can go as far as to fine tune many different aspects of different scenarios and the speed in which the throttle opens up and how it reacts to rapid foot movement and accelerated foot movement versus slow. So really, the myth behind the drive-by-wire is false when it's hooked up to something that can handle it and is capable of doing what it really can do. And you could even say that a cable throttle and a drive-by-wire throttle probably actuate at the same amount of time or have the same amount of response as far as your foot depressing the pedal and having a reaction at the throttle butterfly. So that being said, right now we've gone as far to making 3 adapters, 2 adapters which are currently for sale and available. This is our Greddy adapter. This is made to fit the Greddy and the Freddy manifolds. This is an O-ring sealed adapter, which is nice. So you don't have to deal with any kind of gasket or anything. That comes with the O-ring seal, and it also comes with a metal seal. I'm sorry, not seal, a metal gasket, which is the Bosch metal gasket, which is right here. This comes with every kit, and this seals against the top where the Bosch throttle body sits. Another thing to note is that on our kits, the Bosch throttle body itself, the mounting flange, is square, which means that these throttle bodies can be clocked in 90-degree increments for 360 degrees. And so you have 4 options for mounting. So that leaves quite a bit of scalability as far as getting these throttles to fit in places where they might not fit. So obviously these are a little bit bigger and bulkier than your traditional cable driven throttle. So there's plenty of options. So if you got her mounted up and she's not working, clock her around this way, clock it this way, clock it this way, get it where it works. And again, it doesn't matter. There's no orientation requirements for these. Back to the adapters. So this is the Zero Fab 90mm sheet metal intake manifold adapter. These are not O-ring sealed because those manifolds come O-ring sealed on the manifold from the factory. So if you buy this kit, you will not see an O-ring seal on the back. You will use your existing one that you have that came with your manifold. Also to note, these manifolds are widely used, and they do come with a massive 90mm throttle body, which I would go out to say that is a bit oversized for probably 90% of the application that you see them in use. Having a 90mm cable-driven throttle body is going to create quite a bit of what I would call throttle lag. When you go from, gas pedal DPS at 0 and then to watt at 100%, there's certainly going to be a delay in acceleration where the air is essentially, catching up to the massive amount of opening that has just been opened up. So this kit puts on an 82mm, so we're coming down and we're 8mm smaller than the 90. So that in itself, we're talking small numbers in general here, but that in itself would aid in responsiveness. And the drive-by-wire setup in general, when tuned correctly, will be more responsive on a large throttle body than it will be if you were just using a traditional cable-driven. Next on the line, we have our Plasma Man adapters. These are machined to fit the Plasma Man manifolds on the on their full plenums, not the upper halves. This one in particular is meant to mate up to their 85 millimeter throttle body. We have to still do a little bit more research and see if this will cover more of their flanges or not. But right now, this is specifically for the 85. And again, this also comes O-ring sealed as well. We're making some fine tunes, little fine tuning on this particular flange before we release it to the market. So hopefully, I would think in the next few weeks this should be available online. And I spoke briefly before about the pedals. This is our adapter, and you can see we have a hole here, a slotted hole here. We found that we test fitted this on a number of R chassis, and we found that there is actually some small variation in the distance between the bolt holes in the firewall. So we just decided to elongate this bottom hole to make sure that it can fit everywhere and nobody has a problem installing. So you're gonna align this up with the top, and the bottom will just fit. And then on this side you can see we have, threaded holes over here, and this is where the pedal is actually going to bolt up to. One of the things that we came across when we were test fitting these, we spent a lot of time kind of upside down in the car, as you can imagine, trying to get underneath the dash to unbolt the gas pedal several times. We found that quite cumbersome and uncomfortable. So with our kits now, we include these stainless steel studs. So these are just going to thread right into your firewall, and then you're just going to slip this right over, put the nuts down, and you're done. And literally you can do it without having to get underneath the dash. You can just do it from the side with the door open. It's a piece of cake. Literally will save you quite a bit of time. I have something kind of interesting down here that I'm working on kind of personally. This is one of the Plasma Man adapters, and my personal goal for this was to have a Van-Gen clamp on my throttle body, because I have Van-Gen clamps, and I know a lot of guys do that are running a lot of boost or just don't want to deal with leaks anymore. So we were planning on creating like an adapter for this, because we've seen them, like Plasma Man makes them for the 82 millimeter Bousches, but they make them only for their specific Plasma Man clamps, so they won't fit the Vibrant HD Van-Gen clamps. So I stumbled across this from Magnus Motorsports, and this is specifically what we were discussing making. This is a 82 millimeter Bausch throttle body Van-Gen adapter. You can see it comes with a number of O-rings here. These don't go in this spot. In fact, those O-rings actually sit in here to seal the inner edge of the throttle body with the inside edge of the adapter. So you get a positive seal there. Now, one of the things that we noticed with this setup is that we went to go and put this all together, and we tried sliding our M8 bolts that we use in our kits, and we found out that with the height that we have to meet here, the bolt head is hitting against the Van-Gen O-ring seal. So I went ahead and we found some studs, and we measured and ordered studs to fit. And then we also got, I know this is super overkill, but we just had to do it. These are like ARP style 12-point nuts. So now you can take this whole assembly, slide it down over the studs, and you can just tighten the nuts up. Don't have to worry about bolts going in at a weird angle. So we might end up making our own version of this. I think the one that Magnus Motorsport made is fantastic. I do like it. I personally would love to see something that sits a little bit tighter to the throttle body. I know that might not be possible. We're going to look into it. I know just as far as space constraints and requirements, it would be nice to have the entire effective length of this with the adapter as small as possible. So if not, we might talk to Magnus and start getting these in stock and include these with our kit as an option, which I think would be really cool. And I also have a couple pedals here, guys. Figured I would just show them to you. So here's, like, two popular pedal options for an R32 when you go drive-by-wire. This is the OEM left-hand drive 350Z Nissan pedal. So these are meant to go in a left-hand drive car. They will bolt right onto a right-hand drive car, but the problem is you can see that the pedal is offset considerably to the left and needs to be moved back over. So that's why we have our brackets. As you can see, that our bracket positions the pedal back over to the right where it belongs, and then it basically lines up perfectly with the OEM pedal stop on the firewall. So we remove the pedal stops from the back of these when we get them and sell them with our kits. So they're plug and play. This is a PowerTune Australia R32 GTR pedal. I ordered this personally for myself before we even had the idea of doing all the drive-by-wire stuff, and I was going to install this for my car. So what this looks like to me actually is a 350Z right-hand drive pedal. So this would fit perfectly right onto the firewall. Unfortunately, these pedals are more expensive than the left-hand drive version, and they're also very difficult to get in the United States. Very difficult to source, very, very long lead times, more shipping costs involved. So that's why we are at the left-hand drive version and the brackets. So we've got it covered. Next step for us right now is finishing up the IACV block-offs, finishing up the Plasma Man adapter, and we're going to be then working on our OEM application for RV20 and the 25s. And then we'll probably expand onto some more adapters, and also adapters that accommodate some different size throttle setups. So if somebody wants to run, instead of an 82, they want to run a 74, we're probably going to expand the lineup for that. We're also talking with Wiring Specialties about potentially doing, full harness kits for these as well. So here's a little test harness for one of the throttle bodies that I made myself. That's what I'm going to use on my car, and we'll use that to kind of test, our harness ideas. The IACV block-offs that are coming are going to be pretty basic. They're going to look similar to this. This is just a simple block-off plate for the OEM R32 Speedo cable that comes up through the firewall from the transmission. These are going to be in stock shortly and on the site. These are basically for anybody who's no longer running a mechanical Speedo from the gearbox. Maybe they've switched to GPS or Hall effect on the drive shaft, and this is a solid way to close up that hole in your firewall cleanly. You can even drill and tap or install something like this, like a firewall bulkhead fitting, and you could install it right on this, and then you could use this as a pass-through for a harness of sorts if you wanted to keep something really clean. I know a lot of guys that do rewire, especially in race cars, want to remove the harnesses that go through the fender wells. And this just sitting here, this is kind of neat. This is one of our shift knobs, one of our weighted shift knobs. We're going to be doing another run of these and getting them out to the public as well. I hope that I was able to give everybody kind of like a good demonstration of what we got going on over here and what the future holds for outside our garage and drive-by-wire. I mean, it's coming along, and we're pretty excited. We have shipped a number of kits already this week, and I've already gotten some customer feedback, which so far has been very positive. So we're looking forward to expanding on this and doing a lot more work. And right now, I'm quite happy that I'm standing in my garage, and the garage door is actually open. That means it's not cold anymore. Of course, so now I got mosquitoes coming in, but yep, it didn't take too long to get here. Some other kind of cool things. All of our blocks are gone with the exception of 2, which those are going to be shop blocks. I know Brandon's going to be throwing one possibly in the R33 drift boat. And I might end up hanging on to one as well to build or do something with. But no worries, we will be importing more blocks. We're already talking to Aaron about setting up the next deal. And, you know, maybe some more cool stuff too. Aaron from Boostock. If you guys don't know him or you're not familiar, he makes fantastic parts. He's from Australia. Everything that he does and puts out there is thought out to the nth degree, and very, very high quality, good stuff. Better than most on the market, if not the best on the market. He is going to be introducing some really great new products. We're going to start to stock those. We already just placed a couple orders to get restocked up on some things that we kind of got low on, and we're also going to be grabbing some of his new products and some of his previous products that we didn't stock before. So I'll be updating the site and making sure that everybody gets up to date on what we got. And in the meantime, I think tomorrow is going to be a beautiful day. They're talking like 75 degrees in New York or something. So I am going to try to get this thing outside on the road. I am going to mount up a GoPro right there to the side of that wing, and I'm going to mount up another one probably inside the car, and I'm going to try to get some good footage finally, like some good driving footage. It has been too long since we drove this thing on the road, and it's time. Actually, while I'm here, why don't I give everybody a quick demonstration of the 78 Works headlights. I'm not sure what you guys are going to be able to see out of this, but it could be kind of cool. So I don't have the DRLs hooked up at the moment because I'm running the Motive DVD headlight duct over here. So I thought it best to remove the DRLs. So these are like the park lights. And then we're going to go on the headlight. See, there's the Motive. Actually doesn't do too bad. Certainly nice and bright, looks good. And then let's check out the high beam real quick. No, that was the high beam. High beam, low beam. So these are the lows right here. These are just LEDs in the rear. They're actually putting off some nice light too. Well, that's pretty cool. Alright guys, signing off. Hopefully have some badass video to upload tomorrow. Talk to you guys soon.